Hi, YouTubers. It's your girl B More back with HCK Property Management, here to give you some gems. Let's talk about my blueprint and how I think about money and how you too can unlock your full rental property write-offs. All right. So today we're going to be talking about why high W-2 income blocks your Schedule E benefits and how I transformed my tax strategy, right? Because I love saving money. It's my superpower. I've always studied how the systems work, and I grew up having to learn income limits just to survive, okay? Poverty taught me how to play the numbers better than anyone. So, I didn't learn this from a textbook, although I do have an MBA. I learned this from life. I learned it from watching my single mother fight to qualify for assistance. I knew exactly how much income you could make, how many hours you could work, how many dollars change your eligibility. That's where my financial discipline was born. I'm a Capricorn and I love a challenge. So I knew that I was going to get out of this rabbit hole. Okay. So we're going to go to the next slide to tell you about how I think about money, to try to show you why saving money isn't optional. It's a lifestyle, okay? So I learned how to navigate income limits early on, right? Because growing up in government assistance, there are so many different rules that you need to qualify just to be able to have food on the table. Saving money is my superpower because you have to save money in order to be able to get investment properties and move on to your next passive income goals. I study how systems work. I've been in systems since I was a child. So studying how systems work um, is very easy for me. And growing up in poverty taught me how to navigate those numbers. I always run the numbers, okay? Why I became obsessed with tax strategy. For one, most CPAs run through your tax returns. They just look at you as a number. They're trying to get as many people as possible to make as much as possible, right? What can I do for you? I specialize in real estate tax strategies and property investment tax strategies, which is why we're talking about the Schedule E today. Okay. Most CPAs have too many clients, so they rush. They don't look for deductions, they don't think strategically, they just file. That was never going to be me. I'm not the one who will sit down, break every number, and find the number that people overlook. I'm the one who's going to sit down and dig deeply to find you every single penny that I can find. Okay. So let's just talk about why I refuse to leave money on the table. So I've paid different tax professionals to do my taxes at the end of the year, and I can tell you they missed out on so many different tax deductions just because they didn't feel like dealing with the headache of adding everything in, and they do not like people who do not have good bookkeeping, which is why I think if you're going to use a CPA or a tax professional to do your taxes, if you're an investment in real estate, you should make sure that your tax professional offer bookkeeping, because that is really going to benefit you when it comes to tax time. The corporate job that held me back. Oh, let's just talk about it, right? Everybody always asking me, why did you leave a six-figure income? What are you gonna do about money? I would have never left that. Okay, let me just tell you, corporate was holding me and my business back big time. Six-figure income look good on paper, but if the government is expecting you to work 40 hours a week and you work on your income, and you save up and be responsible to get you passive income rental properties, but you can't qualify. The IRS rules blocked my rental write-offs because I made above the limit. If you make 150K or more, you're above the limit and you will not qualify for those tax write-offs. Okay? The systems punish you for being a W-2 employee. Another issue was the burnout. Okay. The burnout was crazy. Working full time, running my business, and then deciding to go back to real estate school. You may ask, why did I decide to go back to real estate school? Well, I had two options in order to get the tax write-offs, right? In order to get 25K as a write-off, you needed to make 100K or less per year. In order to get your full tax write-off, you needed to make 150K, well, less than 150K per year. Therefore, I had a couple options. I can go to real estate school and qualify as a real estate professional in order to get a full write-off, no matter how much I make, or I can leave my corporate job and make less than six figures a year. So, based on those two options, I was not ready to leave my corporate job, even though I was dealing with a burnout and my body was saying it was enough. I decided to go to real estate school, did my real estate classes. Remind you, working corporate Monday through Friday, 40 hours a week. Saturday and Sunday, I had to work on my real estate classes. The classes were from 8 to 4 p.m., all day classes, and you had to pass each test for each class every time you finish a class. And I think it was about 8 to 9 classes. Don't quote me on that. But I went to Champions Real Estate School. They're really amazing. If you're looking into going to real estate school, I think they're a great option. Paid somewhere between $700 to $900 for real estate school. I go to H&R Block and I'm like, hey, I got my rental property. Um, I finished real estate school. Can I get this tax write-off? And they're like, no, you have to qualify, right? So I'm already burnt out from managing properties and families, and my mind was overloaded. Just watch what they tell me. And that's just a toll on the health. Feeling sick, no sleep, chronic stress. But this is the moment of truth, right? I was doing everything right. I went to real estate school. Everything felt wrong. I was living, just surviving. My body was shutting down. But look what they look, I chose peace over myself. But look what they told me, right? They said that in order to qualify, not only do you not meet the limits, you went back to school, but in order to be considered a real estate professional and get full tax write-offs, there's a 750-hour rule. So, do you think it's possible to work 40 hours a week and work as a real estate agent for 750 hours a year? I calculated the years and I'm like, okay, I've already paid for school. I've already studied and passed my tests and went to school. And now I have to do 750 hours in order for me to get tax write-offs. I don't have time to put in 750 hours. So, what are my other options? My other option is to quit corporate. Corporate was really holding me back. So, real estate, they make it to qualify as if you have to do majority of your work in real estate. They want to make sure that you're actively practicing real estate to get the status of a real estate professional to unlock those unlimited Schedule E write-offs, right? So to qualify, you have to make sure that you meet all of their guidelines, along with being certified, passing the license exam, which you have to pass the national exam and the state exam. Okay. So, with that being said, I felt like corporate was holding me back, and it was time for me to make a decision to choose me, myself, my health, my family, and my business. Because the mental toll and the work overload of trying to win with taxes and passive income, the corporate job was holding me back. So Basically, the government punishes you for being a W-2 employee. They want to, it seems as it gives too much control on your time and your wealth, right? So let's look at the next slide. Time versus money. High income without time, no wealth. Flexibility is a tax strategy, right? Times build generational wealth. Everybody asks me, oh, why are you always traveling? As you can see in my background, I love the beach. I love to travel, right? How do you afford to do this? How do you have time to do that? Well, high income without time is no wealth. If you don't have time, you have nothing. If you don't have flexibility, you have nothing. Flexibility is your biggest tax strategy, right? Time builds wealth, okay? So you need to make sure that you're not just looking at how much money you can make because sometimes six figures is holding you back in a corporation. Now, my final message to you, people always brag about high income, right? I brag about high time freedom. Freedom is everything for me. Without peace, you have nothing. Without health, you have nothing. Health is wealth, okay? And because time is what lets you build your businesses, time is also what qualify you for tax advantages. Time is what lets you create generational wealth, right? So, what do we learn today from all of this? The first thing we learned is how to use tax codes to your advantage, okay? So, on the Schedule E, we learned that in order to use the tax code to your advantage with a rental property on a Schedule E filing, you have two options. You can make less than 100K to qualify for your tax code write-offs. You can make less than 150,000 to qualify. So the difference between the two is if you make less than 100K, they give you up to $25,000 off in deductions, right? Once you get to 150K, you get zero. All right. Outside of that, your only option is to become a real estate professional and work at least 750 hours a year in that profession. So those are your only options when it comes to passive income on your Schedule E. So you have to make the decision, am I willing to make less than six figures a year and focus on my business and other passive income in order to get these tax write-offs I need to move to the next level? Or am I willing to put the time in and work crazy hours, become a real estate agent, make six figures, and work 750 hours a year as a real estate professional? So those are your two main options. Um, and we just want to make sure that you're remembering to maximize your write-offs. You can go to a tax professional, you can go to a CPA, but if they do not have knowledge in investments and real estates, I don't think they're going to give you the best tax advantages that you deserve. Protect your health. Health is wealth. If you're not healthy, you can't work 750 hours. If you're not healthy, you're not going to be able to do what you need to do in order to keep your corporate position in the first place. All right. Build wealth with strategy, not burnout. Building wealth is about strategy. I learned strategy from a very young age, right? Growing up on government assistance, you had to know strategy. You had to know how many hours that you can work a job before your mom is going to get kicked off of SNAP benefits because SNAP benefits is going to pay you more than that dollar raise that this company is going to give you or those extra couple hours that the company is going to allow you to work, right? So that's why I fell in love with business. That's why I got an MBA. I felt that I knew strategy, I knew numbers, I knew government assistance at a very young age. So learning how to work the tax codes to my advantage was very fun for me. I love a challenge, okay? So, more of the story, use your tax code to your advantage. Find you a great CPA or tax professional, or reach out to me and I'll be happy to help you. One thing I would say is always remember if you allow somebody to feed you, you allow them to starve you. So therefore, W-2 work should not be your only income. Please like and subscribe, comment, and let me know what you would like to learn more about. And I'm willing to look into those comments to figure out a solution of how I can get you that information. Until then, it's Be More with HCK Property Management.